I now invite the Administrator of the United Nations Development Programme, Ms. Helen Clark, to make a statement.
Thank you, Mr. President. My colleague Wu Hongbo, the Special Envoy of the Secretary General on Youth, Ministers and Youth Delegates. It's always very hard to come in at the end of a meeting like this, which has clearly been very energised and had a lot of lively debate. And I know that your focus has been on the new global agenda, Agenda 2030. There's probably not much you don't know about Agenda 2030 after 2 days of intense focus on it. And that is good because it is tackling the big challenges and the big opportunities for youth. It's also good that young people were very much part of shaping the new agenda. Youth participated in the many national consultations which the UN Development System, led by UNDP, facilitated around the world. There was the UN Major Group for Children and Youth, which had a lot of input. And then, of course, there was the huge online survey, My World, where more than 10 million people responded, saying what they would want to see in the new global agenda. And actually, about 77% of the 10 million who responded were under 30 years of age. So you can see that through social media, it really is possible to very widely engage with youth on the big global themes. So I think all that input has helped to make sure that the new agenda really is addressing the issues important for youth, but also affirming the role that young people must play as agents of change in building a better world. Now, I always say in speeches on Agenda 2030 that writing agendas in a way is the easy thing. The hard thing is to actually implement them and get results. And that's, again, I think where the role of young people is so important. Your participation, your engagement, your holding people to account is a very important part of making sure that Agenda 2030 goes ahead. You have in your various sessions looked at some of the critical issues for youth in the new agenda, and let me signal just briefly 4 broad groupings of priorities. Firstly, I think jobs, livelihoods, entrepreneurship, quality education and skills, these are so basic. Basic to a life out of poverty for young people born into homes with very, very low income. But actually these things matter for youth in every society, to have the relevant skills and education, to be able to enter the workforce on your own terms and make a contribution. And UNDP is very pleased to be part of the initiative which was launched here at the Youth Forum by the Director General of the ILO, the UN Global Initiative on Decent Jobs for Youth. And we hope that it really will engage the leaders of countries in action on youth employment, because youth are disproportionately unemployed in our world. We hope it will promote better national policies and interventions and actions for youth employment and help share best practice about what really works in opening up opportunity in the workforce for youth. Second broad area, which is extremely important, is access to the health services that youth are looking for. And that includes, of course, with respect to sexual and reproductive health and rights, which is so important for youth empowerment and for determining one's destiny. Clearly, gender equality and the empowerment of girls and women are a critical part of the new agenda, mainstreamed right through it. And it is a truism that no society can reach its full potential if it leaves half its population behind because of gender. So this is just so critical to see girls and women with equal opportunities and rights. And my final broad point would be the importance of the new agenda on inclusion. It talks about peaceful and inclusive societies, inclusive of all of us in all our diversity in humankind, and of societies in which young people have the space and the right to engage in civic and political and other affairs. Now, next month, UNDP is going to launch a new global project on youth employment for development and peace. And we will be using our active presence in 168 countries and territories to support the inclusion of youth in development very directly. We will be scaling up our support for youth entrepreneurship and employment, civic engagement and public and political participation. We will give special attention to young women and to youth from marginalised groups. And we will also be working closely with youth movements, organisations and networks. We've had quite a bit of experience in a lot of countries in helping to open up space for youth and open up opportunities. Many examples, even in the middle of crisis, as in Yemen or Syria today. If you go to our websites, you will see examples of fantastic work being done with youth, youth in emergency jobs, youth supporting their community, youth accessing vocational training. Life does go on even in the middle of crisis, and our aim is to enable it to go on with as much dignity as possible. We were very pleased to be in the Secretary-General Envoy's hometown of Oman last year with the Global Forum on Youth, Peace and Security. And what a triumph to have a new Security Council resolution, 2250, on youth, peace and security. Conflict is a major obstacle to development wherever it breaks out, and it is scarring the life of youth and their communities in a lot of places around our world. So it is so important that the Security Council of the United Nations has affirmed the role that young people can play in building peace. This is very, very critical. On inclusion and diversity, we have been supporting youth-focused human rights campaigns, such as the one called Purple My School, which aims to create safe spaces for LGBTI youth in schools throughout Asia. So, to sum up, at UNDP, we will continue to work for the full alignment of youth policies with national development priorities, for including young people in national dialogues, and for the full engagement of youth with these SDGs. We will work with partners to overcome the barriers to youth progress, to act against discrimination against youth, and to support the expansion of civic and political space. And we hope that you will be able to engage with us one way or another in the coming years around youth empowerment initiatives. We invite you all to stay in touch with us via social media, on Twitter at UNDP, at UNDP4Youth, and please also use Helen Clark at UNDP as well. Thank you very much.